Hello everybody, welcome to Bandits and Bookworms. My name is DEIDRE, and today we're going to talk about the books that I have read so far this year. So for those of you who have seen my last two videos, you know that reading is a fairly new hobby for me. However, I set myself a goal this year, given that in the last half of 2022, I read 18 books. I set myself a goal this year to read 40 books because I thought, you know what, with that trajectory plus a little bit extra, 40 would be good. I underestimated what I was going to do because as of yesterday, June 27th, I have hit 40 books this year. So I thought that I would take the time to do the mid-year freakout tag to talk about some of those books. This year, there are 14 questions that I'm going to be answering to talk about the books that I have read this year. Supposedly in each of these, you're supposed to name only one book, but I'm going to name multiple for most of these questions. So just be aware that's going to be a thing. So first up is the best book that I've read so far this year. I have two books. One of them I read from my library and I just finished a couple of days ago and turned in. And then the next book that I have, I do still own. The first book I thought of when I saw this question was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was a fantastic book. I loved the fact that it was told in interview style. It came out in 2019, so it's not a new book necessarily. It's been out for 4 years, but it's new to me. I love it. It's very good. I did watch the show. I have opinions on it. On its own as a show, it's good. But as a representation of this, they missed some of the big plot points. Like, they totally character assassinated Camilla's character. So, Taylor Jenkins Reid, Daisy Jones and the Six. One of the best books I've read so far this year. The next book on this list is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I thoroughly enjoyed this book to the point where I couldn't put it down, and I was definitely prioritizing it above things that I should have been prioritizing. It was very good. I cannot wait till I can read the next one. I have a hold on it on my library right now, just waiting for it to get in. And then I have already informed my husband that I will be purchasing the entire series in hardback and buying custom dust jackets for them. So thank you for supporting me in my addiction problem, husband of mine. The next prompt on this list is the best sequel that I've read so far this year. Also A Court of Mist and Fury. Very much enjoyed that one. But the other book that I have on this list before I read A Court of Mist and Fury was The Wicked King by Holly Black. It was an excellent follow-up to The Cruel Prince. I did also read The Queen of Nothing in the first half of this year, and I think that The Queen of Nothing was weaker than The Wicked King. However, Queen of Nothing was still very good. I will probably also be getting my own copies of all of those as well. The next prompt on this list is a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. I have 5 books on this list, and that's a really slimmed down version of what it could have been. I own 2 of them already. I will need to purchase or get from my library the others, but the 2 that I own are Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which is going to be for a book club next month, I think, actually in July, or this month, since that's when this video will be coming out. So really excited about that. And then when I was in Barnes the other day and shopping around, I saw that Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood had come out, and I absolutely adored The Love Hypothesis. I haven't yet read Love on the Brain, but I heard that that was pretty good, but not as good as The Love Hypothesis, but this one is getting really good reviews as well, so Love Theoretically is another one. The 3 that I do not own are Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which I will probably end up buying, but we'll see. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which I will end up buying because I loved Ninth House, so Hellbent will be on my list as well. And The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. They all came out this year so far. I am really excited. I loved Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is the prequel to The Shadow Cabinet. I need to read the sequel. The next prompt is the most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. I have 2 for this list. The first one is Wildfire by Hannah Grace, which will release on October 3rd. And the second one is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake, and that is going to release on October 24th. So excited for that. I just read Delilah Green Doesn't Care literally yesterday. Loved it. Gonna go read Ashford Parker Doesn't Fail next, and then obviously Iris Kelly Doesn't Date comes out later this year. The next prompt on this list is biggest disappointments. I have 2 for this prompt. The first one, if you saw my last video, you already know. Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about why this disappointed me. If you want to know why, you can go to the card right here and it will show you where I had problems. And then the second one was a book that I read from my library, and that was Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. I know that was a book that came out in like 1993. I just read it for the first time earlier this year. One of my friends saw it, had never read it, but saw it and was like, hey, it's a 5'3" vampire hunter. And I was like, that sounds like fun. And I'm also 5'3", so that sounds like a good time. And it wasn't. It kind of sucked. I hated Anita Blake as a character, and it just kind of sucked. So did not continue with that series. The next prompt is the biggest surprise so far this year. This is one that I had mentioned very briefly in my last video as a book of the month book that I had not yet read, but The Collecting Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. I really, really liked this in a way I wasn't expecting. I got this book as a way to get outside of my comfort zone, which is normally fantasy, but I so enjoyed this book and I will recommend it to anybody out there, especially if you are in a point where you are struggling with grief but can read a book about it. Please read this book. It's really good and it has a really healthy look at grief, in my opinion. The next prompt is favorite new author, which could be a debut or new to me. My answer to this one is pretty simple, which is Hannah Grace, who wrote Icebreaker. I so enjoyed Icebreaker in a way that I can't describe. I read it on my Kindle, which is also why I'm so excited for Wildfire. I loved it. I loved the way that Hannah Grace wrote her characters. I thought they were all really good. So I'm excited to read Wildfire. She's really good. At least Icebreaker was. So the next prompt is newest fictional crush, which I have to answer Reese from A Court of Mist and Fury, or the A Court of Thorns and Roses series in general. If you've read the book, you know why. If you haven't, just read the book and you'll understand why. Next prompt is newest favorite character. With this one, I kind of did a flip-flop between Reese again, but I thought that that was kind of boring. So I went the other direction with it that I could have, which is a sort of similar character, and that's going to be Carden from the Folk of the Air trilogy. I have a type with kind of moody emo boys, I guess. Emo fae, specifically, I guess. But both of them are very good at doing the brooding thing while also still being absolute cinnamon buns and complete sweethearts, and I love them both so much, and I wish them all the best things in the world. And I haven't read the rest of ACOTAR. No spoilers, please. Oh God, I'm still working on it. The next prompt is a book that made you cry. And this is going to be one that will surprise you if you did watch my last video, because my answer to this prompt is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. The last scene in this book made me cry. And without spoilers, I will just say that I think that type of relationship, the type of relationship that is demonstrated at the end of this book, is the kind of thing that I see between my husband and I a little bit. And I just really broke down at the end of it with a conversation that happens at the end, the very, very end. There you go. The next prompt on the list is a book that made you happy. There are a lot of books I've read this year that have made me happy, but the one I decided to go with, because I talk about it still, even though I read it in February, is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I just really loved the characters in that. I loved the way the relationship dynamic was explored. It just makes me happy to think about it. My sibling actually owns that book and let me borrow it, so that's how I read that one. The next prompt is the most beautiful book that you have acquired this year. I don't have a lot of special editions. I really don't. I'm on the list, like I said, for Illumicrate last time. I'm interested in getting into Fairy Loot as well, but I don't really have many special editions, so I'm just going to kind of go with what my favorite covers and spines are that I own. So the first answer to this is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I really like this cover. I like the colors. I like the art. I like the fact that the back is like that and the spine, like it's very cool and I like it a lot. So I will say that. It's not a special edition. It doesn't have cool end papers. So it's just this book, which is cool looking. The next books that I have for this prompt might be controversial. I don't know. Paperback Grishaverse is what I have there for the first trilogy, at least, which are all out of order right now. I'm just realizing this needs to go over here. There we go. So I just like the spines on these. I like how kind of shiny they are. And I like the art style on the covers. I think that they are really cool. The only thing I don't like about it is the permanent Netflix sticker. So I just bought these not too long ago. Why must you do this? Right? Like, I do like the art style. I think that they're cool looking. So I guess those are the next ones I put on there. But again, I don't really have any books that I think are really worthy of this prompt right now. It's just books that I kind of like the covers of is what I'm going with for that one. Okay, second to last prompt in this video. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? A lot of them. If I keep up this trajectory, then I'll read another 40 books before the end of this year, or damn close. So I there's a lot of them that I have on this list. I've kind of boiled it down to the books that I know I'm gonna read for book clubs and books that I have planned for videos. So the first book on the list for this prompt is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, which we've already talked about. I'm reading that one for a book club. Same thing with the next one, which is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Also reading this one for a book club. Then the other books that I have on this list are for videos that I have planned. The first one is, in fact, the Shadow and Bone trilogy, as well as the King of Scars duology. Really, I'm going to read the whole Grishaverse. That's going to be a video that I do at some point before the end of the year. But I've read the Six of Crows duology already, but I'm going to reread it probably. So that's 3 books right there. The next books on my list for this one is the Crave series, of which I only own 2 right now, but I will buy the rest of them. Crave and Crush, that's the first and the second one. I almost walked out of Barnes with, I think, the 4th one. They had signed copies there, and I had other priorities, and so I had to put it back, but I almost walked out with that one. But the Crave series is also going to be a video that I do. And then the last prompt for this video, which is fairly fun, I actually kind of enjoy it, is what is your favorite book to screen adaptation? It doesn't have to be from this year. The one that I've watched from this year I really didn't enjoy, and that was Daisy Jones and the Six. Although I will say for that show, the music that came out of it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed the music, and several of them ended up on my playlists. But the one that I actually have enjoyed the most, I think, in recent times is season 1 of The Witcher. Just season 1. After that, it kind of goes off the rails for me, but I really, really enjoyed season 1 of that show. That would be my answer to that one, even if it's not from this year. And that is the mid-year freakout tag. I have a much smaller physical TBR than a lot of people I know. I only have 17 books on my shelves right now that I have not read, so I feel like I'm doing pretty good there. We're hoping to keep it below 20. That's the goal. We're gonna see how much self-control I have. Although having a restricted bank account does definitely help. That's the books for this year and hopefully for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, leave a like down below. If you want to tell me what your books were this year, your favorite book that you've read so far this year, leave a comment down below as well. I would love to see y'all's mid-year freakout tags as well. I'm leaving the questions in the description if you'd like to answer them. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you are practicing safe text. Bye.